Houston, we may have a problem. Hey everybody, it's Rob with RobFindsTreasure, and if you watched my Morgan and Peace Dollar video, in that same purchase, I purchased a bunch of other constitutional silver, or junk silver if you will. There is a ton of Kennedy 64s, which I'll be checking for any of the varieties. We have a nice little bag here with Benjamins and Walkers, and then another bag with a whole bunch of Rosie dimes, Mercury dimes, all kinds of quarters. I know there's some SLQs and maybe a few Barbers in there. And I even thought I saw a war nickel or two. So I'm kind of curious to see what we got in this bag. Kind of hoping that we find some stuff that can upgrade in my albums, but mostly looking for any varieties that we can find as well. Let me go ahead and get this stuff dumped out of the bag. We'll take a look at it. And I think we're going to start with the Benjamin Franklin half dollars and the Walking Liberty half dollars first, so I can get them rolled up for my streams. And then I'll move on second to the Kennedys and do the big old bag of other silver last. Let's get them dumped out. After thinking about it, we're going to keep them segregated to make it easier for me to sort. We'll start with the Benjamin Franklin and Walking Liberty half dollars. You can see there's a lot of discoloration on a lot of these, but I think it gives it character. We'll go through these one by one and see what kind of goodies we have. I think that one is a 1940 or 1920. Pretty slick. But either way, I got these at a great price. Let me get the Ben Franklins and the Walking Liberty half dollars sorted, separated, and see if we have any better dates, key dates, or things like that. I'll be back once I have them sorted. So we've got the Franklin and Walking Liberty half dollars separated. We got a couple in the 40s, a lot in the 50s, and a lot in the 60s for the Ben Franklins. We did find one polished Barber half dollar, 19080. And then we have the Walking Liberties here. A couple in the teens, one in the 20s, some in the 30s, and a bunch in the 40s. For sake of time, I'm just going to run through these really quick and see if any of them have any DDOs or DDRs for the known years. And if I find something, I'll show it to you. Otherwise, I don't think we'll spend too much time on these. Most of them are in okay condition, like this 63, but some are in not so great condition, like this 34. Either way, let me go through them, and I'll bring you back after I've done so. So we finished the Ben Franklin half dollars. Unfortunately, no DDOs or DDRs. I did check the DDOs listed for 50, 54, 56, 60, and 62, as well as the DDRs for 51, 56, 57, 59, 61, and 63. None of those were there. The best finds of the Ben Franklins were just the better dates, 1949 right here, which is all mints, of course. And I did have a couple of 53 Philadelphias in pretty slick condition. Better dates, but in the condition they were in, not much better. We'll add these to the roll and move on to the Walkers next. So as expected, nothing in the Walking Liberty half dollars either. The only ones I look for is the DDOs from 36, 42, and 46, and the DDRs from 42 and 46. None of that there, and most of them we couldn't really tell on some of the DDOs because of the wear on the coin. Now that we've done that, we're going to move on to the Kennedy half dollars next. And that, my friends, will take me some time, but I will be putting them under my scope, and I'll be bringing them up on the screen to check for all the DDRs and DDOs. And with probably about 300 of them there, it's going to take some time. I'll be back once I've got that done, or if I find something during the hunt, I'll bring you in. Well, we're almost 200 coins in to this hunt, about 199, including the one under the scope. And I finally found a DDO. The one I found is a 1964 Philadelphia minted FS 102. You can clearly see here, we've got the doubling on the W. It is damaged, but there is doubling on this R. You can see the doubled serifs on the top of the U. And if I slide it up, you can make out the doubling at the base of the 4. So while my example is not the greatest in condition, it is most certainly a 1964P FS 102. First DDO found, 199 coins in. We'll keep at it. I'll bring it back in if I find another one. Now we're cooking. Literally 2 coins later, I have found the creme de la creme of the 64D Kennedy DDOs. And unfortunately, it's in absolutely terrible shape, but I'll bring it up on the screen so that you can take a look at it. We've got heavy doubling on the G and the O and on the D, first and foremost. Nice doubling on the base of the 1. Good doubling on that 9. Good doubling on the 6. Decent doubling on the base of the 4. Severe splitting and doubling on the entire motto. Look at that doubled R, doubled serifs at the base. Right here, you can see the 2 serifs on all the letters. It's split down the middle. Doubled serifs on the U. The S is split. The T is split. This thing is a beauty as far as the type of doubling that it exhibits. This is known as the 1964D FS 101. And I will bring up Variety Vista so that you can see everything that I'm looking at. This is the 1964D FS 101, and I'll bring up the pictures. You can clearly see all the doubling we just talked about, the G, the O, the D, the splitting on the we, the splitting on the T and the R, and the doubled serifs on the U. This picture is the telltale picture right there. Let me bring up my picture side by side with that. So you look at that R-U-S-T, and that's what we got there. Of course, their images are nicer, but what are you going to do? Either way, all the markers, splitting on the 1, splitting on the 9, the 6, the base of the 4. I even have the stage B die scratches, which if I bring them down here, you can see this second star above the O in dollar has a very heavy die scratch. And when I bring my coin up under the scope, let me see if I can get this with the angle of the light. You can see the die scratching right here and how it flares off right there. And if I bring up that picture one more time, there's the flaring off and the die scratches. So this is a 1964D FS 101 Stage B, but man, there is so much dings and dents and all that stuff going on. Definitely going to hurt the value of it. Not one worth grading, but definitely one worth flipping up and putting in my collection. 2 in the last 3 coins. Can't get mad at that. Let's get back to the hunt. Well, we're on a hot streak. About 5 coins later, I found another variety under the scope. Let me go ahead and show it to you. You can see the doubling right here on the W, at the base of the E mostly. And if I slide it on over, you can see the splitting on the T, on the base of the R, right here on the circle in the R. We do have splitting on the top of the U. Again, the coin's in terrible shape, unfortunately. And there is a little bit of splitting on the 4. Again, unfortunately, mine's in terrible shape. Looks okay in the hand, but under the scope, you saw the damage. We'll take it though. 1964 Philadelphia minted DDO FS 102. Third find after a cold start. We're on coin number 259 of the hunt, and it's another terrible example of a 1964p FS 102. You can barely make it out. You can see the doubled serif there, the doubling on the base of the 4. It's in trashy condition overall, but it is another FS 102. Just wanted to show it to you. We're almost done. We're on coin 267 or 68, and holy cow, we found another one. So we ran into a nice hot streak. This is the FS 101, 1964D FS 101, and I didn't look to see what stage it was because I got super excited, but heavy doubling on the entire motto. Look at that. That is heavy doubling. This is a better example. This might be stage A. I'll take a look at the die scratches and the die markers, but wow. Too bad once again, it's not in the greatest shape. I'll get it flipped up next to this one. I'll let you know on the next clip whether it was stage A or stage B. But that's two of the harder to find FS 101s, and I have one in much better shape already in my collection. So it's nice grabbing a couple more. I'll be back if we find another variety or a 64 Kennedy wrap-up. So we finished the 1964 Kennedys and we hunted 282 of them in total. We ended up with 5 varieties, and ironically, 3 are the FS 102s and 2 are the FS 101s. Now the FS 102s are all from the Philadelphia mint, and the FS 101s are both from the Denver. They both were stage B. I did confirm it with the die scratches above $1 on the reverse of the second one like I did the first. So not a bad hunt whatsoever. We started off with 199 nothings, and in the last 83 coins, we had 5 varieties. I'll take it. 5 more varieties for the collection. None of them are gradable. They're all in pretty poor condition. In my opinion, most of them are going to be very fine at best, XF, and not really worth spending the money to get them graded because of their condition. Still, I like varieties. I'll be adding to my collection, and that makes me happy. Now that we've done all of the half dollars, up next, we have the quarters and dimes, and I think even a few nickels. Now, I will expedite the hunt because it's already been a long video from the variety search, but let me bring you back in when I got these separated by denomination and kind of give you a look at what we got. We have got the first sort done. That, my friends, is a lot of GW quarters. We'll be going through those, see if there's any varieties, and again, I'll bring in when I do that. We do have a stack of SLQs, which I'll check for any better dates. Couple of cleaned Barber quarters, not good dates, not anything special, and cleaned. Stack of Rosie dimes. I won't be checking for any varieties on these. I'm just going to go ahead and roll them up. And then we'll be getting to the Mercury dimes, see if we have any good ones in there as well, especially the 16s and 21s, or a 26S, or maybe even a variety like a 42 or 41, which we'll be checking for. On top of that, we had 3 Barber dimes in relatively slick condition, and even 2 war nickels. I don't know what those are doing in there, like I said. I don't really care. It's all good. We'll take it. No one's going to get mad at me losing 30 or 40 cents on the deal, especially with what I paid. Now, let me roll up the dimes, move the Mercs out of the way, and get the quarter sorted. Figured before I do the sort, I'd bring in for a quick SLQ wrap up. There's pretty much nothing major here, all in the 25 to 30 range. This one is a damaged 1917 Type 2. Completely destroyed, but you can just make out the 1917. We don't need one, and we don't need one in this condition, so I'll just add it to the stack. The nicest of the quarters was this 1927 with decent detail, but it doesn't have a mint mark, so it's a 27p. I'll take it, though. Now let's sort those quarters. First sort on the quarters is complete. 30s, 40s, and 1950. Everything from 1951 and north. I went ahead and jarred it up. I'm not going to be checking for the Type B proof reverses from the 1956 through 64 years. That'll be for another hunt. Today now, I'm just going to go through these 30s and 40s and the 1950s to see if we have any varieties and or better dates. Let me get the 30s stacked up by year first and mint and see if we have any better dates or DDOs. So no varieties found in the 30s. I will point out we did have a 1932 right here that got me excited, but no mint mark, so it's very common. Still, always fun seeing a 32. No DDO on the 34 or the 37. Slightly better date with the 37D here. Not much, not in that condition. 38s are better dates as well, but again, unless they're in at least very fine condition, which those aren't, they don't really fetch much more than melt. We actually got a full set of 39s, quite a few 39Ps, a 39D, and a pretty semi-key date 39S. These only had less than, I think, 2.7 million minted. Unfortunately, the condition on this one's not really going to bring a lot of value, but I will still take a 39S. I might even check it against my album because I probably don't have a very nice one. Not that that's nice, but it might be better than the one I have. That's it for the 30s. A little bit of fun, Not any really good finds. Some better dates, which is always cool. But now we got to move on to the 40s and see if there's any varieties. As is typical of quarters for me, no varieties. So I threw them back in the bin. We're done with quarters now. Now one of my favorites. Let's do the Merc Dimes last. So we've sorted the Merc Dimes. I kept a couple of slightly better dates, some 24s, D&S, and a 1926S as well. And then this 1920 is pretty clean, 20D, so I'm going to check it against my album. These are the 30 and 31s. They're really not much of a better date, but I just like the way the date looks on them, and I got to check them against my album. And then these are all the 1942s. I'll be checking for the 42 or 41. Pretty healthy stack of teens. We had about 5 1916s in there, and when I first looked at this one on the obverse, look at how nice this date is. And when I first saw that date, I thought, man, they usually only look that nice if they were kept out of circulation for a while. So it made me optimistic, and I flipped it, and I noticed there was a mint mark, but it's an S. So pretty nice 1916S. It's got some toning, which is making it not look as nice on the camera, but definitely a cool find. I just pulled it to the side. Let me go ahead and check these 42s to see if we have any 42 or 41s, and I highly doubt it with that little small sample set, but you gotta look. I'll be right back for some final thoughts and a wrap-up. Well, no 42 or 41s, and that's about par for the course for me, but at the end of the day, I got more silver for my streams. I got to upgrade a few coins in some of my albums. I found 5 more 64 Kennedy half-dollar varieties to add to my collection, and I had the fun time of going through, sorting, and stacking silver. If you enjoyed this constitutional silver or junk silver purchase and hunt, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And as always, everyone, happy hunting, happy stacking, and thanks for watching.